Hi everyone, welcome back from the short break. Very important section, and that's the highlight of today's meeting. So we have a very important guest in our midst, our keynote speaker. All right, his name is Dr. Abiodun Mustapha. He's a personal development expert, a business development consultant, an educator, and founder of Growth Up Africa, a community of strategic career leaders and business experts. He helps professionals and businesses through a process of purpose, productivity, and profitability. This he does through speaking engagement, training, personal coaching, and writing. Abiodun has a PhD in computer science from Nigeria. Is a certified business trainer and coach by the German Development Corporation 2018. And he has trained over 2,000
and coached
and
over
coached
45
over 45
professionals and
professionals
business
and
owners.
business owners.
He was also selected to be one
Be
of the
one of the
members
members
of the Future
of the
of
Future of
Computing
Computing
Academy
Academy
by
by the Association of Computing Machinery, New York, out of over hundreds of very competitive applications from academic institutions, research labs, and companies all over the world. He is also a convener of a city-to-city event, Purpose Hangouts, which has impacted over 500 young people from six cities in Nigeria. This has led to positioning them correctly for their life's purposes. It provides narrative transforming and soul inspiring content on YouTube and hosts professionals from various spheres of life on his podcast, that's Growth Secrets with Abiodun Mustafa. He has been featured on various platforms such as the Young Professional Forum, K2 Oshodi and Isheri Idemo, The Prophetic Woman, Dear Potential, Sweet FM, Splash FM, KMC TV, Edu African, Privacy Conference, and NACOS Conference, amongst others. Abiodun is available as a speaker, a facilitator, and moderator for conferences, workshops, summits, and seminars. Please, can we give him a round of applause? You are very much welcome into our midst, sir. We are very honored to have you, sir, and we'll be delighted if you could give us from the well of knowledge you have, sir. You are welcome, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel, for starting this up. Thank you also to my friend and brother Victor for inviting me to this program. It's a great delight, it's a great honor. I do not in any way take it for granted. I want to be sure that the physical audience can hear me. If you can hear me, can you just signify by raising up one finger, just one finger, not the complete hand, just one finger. All right, interesting. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much. It's a great honor. I followed the conversation Mr. Emmanuel had earlier. Really fantastic, really phenomenal, exceptional concept. And I believe anyone who wants to really go far as an individual in career or as an individual in business, you should hold on to those 10 lessons because they are very pivotal to change your life and to make the best out of anyone. If you can follow those ideas, even a dummy can become a king. So that's how phenomenal it is. So thank you so much, sir. I'm really grateful. And I hope we'll get to learn. I hope we'll get to engage together. And I hope we'll get to just listen to a couple of the things that this young man here will be saying. All right, so I have to use the word young man. So I'm young relatively, and I'm also delighted to always impart and share my ideas with people. All right, today we're talking about breaking barriers. Okay, we're talking about breaking barriers, and so far we have been trying to get a lot of insights that are strategic for those who want to do well in career and who want to do well in business. By God's grace, I've had various I've had various aspects of my career. I've worked as a consultant. I've worked as a trainer. I've worked as a monitoring and evaluation officer for projects. I've worked as, all right, even at a point, I did a lot of things as a business strategist, which I still do for a couple of people. Now I'm in the educational space, which is what most people know me as because of what I do in the academia. All right. And currently I'm building a lot of capacity around product marketing. So just a couple of things. So just to say there are various aspects I've been in. And I remember as a young boy, I grew up by a father who is a mechanic. My late mom used to be an hairdresser. So when we were really young, my mom used to really want to push us, especially those of us who are the boys, to come and start helping her out in a hairdressing business. So you can imagine a young man like me plaiting hair for women, washing their hair and doing when you are relaxing hair for women and you're doing retouching and all those things. I know people will see me now, and if I say these stories, they don't believe. So I'm just saying that if you are talking about career, I've been in different aspects. I've worked as a career as an artisan, even going to my dad's workshop, supporting him as wheel alignment, wheel balancing, and all those things. So just a couple of things that have built me up. So I'm just trying to encourage anyone who is listening or following, which in a way you may be looking at your background or where you're from, and you're just believing that can anything really come out of me? Okay. All the time I knew my parents growing up, apart from maybe after university, my parents lived in a single room with 4 children. So 2 parents, 4 children in a city in Oshodi. You know, when you hear Oshodi, I know those in Lagos understand what Oshodi is. Oshodi is not a funny area at all. When you hear Oshodi, you are hearing Raz. You hardly wake up one day in Oshodi and you don't hear people breaking bottle. And this group, they are fighting with each other. And everybody is trying to take shield and all of that. That was what my growing up was like. So I grew up in Oshodi, one single room. At a point, I never felt I was loved as a young person. As a teenager, twice I attempted that I wanted to kill myself because I felt, oh, my parents didn't love me. My parents didn't like me. At a point, I went to the clothesline, I put my neck there and just like, Baba, let's try waiting with the always they see for movie now. I didn't just succeed at that. Another time I took a knife, pointed to my belly. Why? Because I just felt a couple of frustration on the light about life and I wanted to take my life. Not until later on, I think before entering university or maybe 100 level, I started having certain alignments. Oh, yeah, there's something about Jesus, so let's take this Jesus thing serious. So, and then I gave my life to Christ on campus. Purpose began to become really clear. We started impacting young people, doing things for them, inspiring them, and their lives started changing. So it's just to tell you that irrespective of your background, never let that make you create a barrier in your mind that you cannot become anything. If Mr. Emmanuel is sharing his story, he will tell you things he has been through. If people are sharing their stories, they will tell you what they've been through, which means that your life can change irrespective of where you are from. So never let your back be on the ground because of your background. Your background should be your motivation, should not be the reason why you relapse. Okay, um, so breaking barriers, strategic insights for career and business people. All right, quick thing about me after sharing my story. Like I've been said, I'm a personal development strategist. I'm a TEDx speaker and organizer, author of over 10 books, founder of Growth Up Africa, academic researcher. I've been a computer science lecturer. This is my third university, teaching computer science, information technology, and software engineering. And also, I'm an alumni of the ACM Future Computing Academy. All right, few expressions of me. You'll see me there as a moderator, a compere of one of a very large event in Lagos, Confab. And on the right-hand side, I was there as a panelist at the National Conference of NACOS, that's National Association of Computing Students, right there as a TEDx speaker. And also, this is me organizing a training for entrepreneurs. Now, I want to encourage you as we'll be talking about these things, make sure you listen. A lot of people hear, but very few people listen. I know people don't understand that there's a difference between listening and hearing. You know how people can be in a conversation and then you'll be talking to someone, like you'll just be in a conversation with someone, and you are talking, I say, the person will be nodding the head, and you say, okay, remind me what I just said. The person say, actually, you mentioned something. So the person actually did not listen, the person only heard. So I'm advising you with this slide that you can see my expression there that I'm saying, please, listen. Everything that will be said, try to listen. And whatever you will not give 100% to, is better you are not there at all. If you want to be present at anything, give your 100% to it. That's the only way you can get the advantage and the opportunities in anything that is being shared. So please, as we will be sharing in the time that I have, do well to really listen. Now, there used to be a story of these two friends who traveled from, I think, Europe to India, and then they went to a place that will be tagged like the ghetto or the trenches area of India. And they met a lot of people. You know how the dump site can be like, you know how the trenches can be like. Sometimes the children are tattered, and many of them, they don't even put on shoes. They were just going around. And these two friends took that trip. They took a journey and then went on that trip to India. And they got to the place where, okay, they got to the place where they now saw these people without shoes. And one of them was like, oh, no, how this place is dirty. I can't stay in this place. You know how they would do all the phone and everything. And say, oh, no, see, these people, they just look so dirty and everything and all of that. And this. And the guy said all the English. And this is other friend was now looking. He was not like, what did they happen? No, these people, they don't have shoes. What can we do? Can we begin to manufacture shoes and sell to these people in a form that is very affordable? And then both of them left after that trip. And the other guy said, the other guy that was giving all the phonetics said, oh, he's not going to come back. He's not all of this. He's not going to do this. And then the other guy who started thinking and innovating went back. He produced shoes with very affordable materials and started selling to those people. And at the end of the day, that guy who went back and who produced that shoe and sold to those people ended up becoming richer than the other guy who only saw that. Now, the question I want to ask you is, what exactly do you see? Right now, you're talking about what's going on in Nigeria. Oh, things are getting expensive. Oh, people don't want to buy things. Oh, this. And the problem is we have a lot of educated people, but we have very few problem solvers. We have everyone going on social media trying to comment on what is happening, but we have very little contributors. And a session, an event like this, a workshop like this is trying to raise those who can make contribution. Okay, some weeks ago, I was sharing with those who are in my mentorship platform, which I engage some of the young people that we interact weekly. I was trying to tell them that, do you know that the world we live in is actually a world that is in a pyramid system? And the problem is the people who are the decision maker, who control everything that happens, they don't stay on the base of the pyramid. They are at the tip of the pyramid. And when you see a pyramid, the people who are few are usually those on the upper hand. And these are people who strategize and bring things together for people to do. There's something in the book of Ezekiel. He said a group of people sat down and they began to innovate and strategize what would happen to other people. And I used to refer people to something that happened in the old past when the Israelites were taken as slaves in Egypt. Look at what happened. Because there was no food, I want to skip all the story of the Joseph, if you know it and all of that. There was no food, and then an entire family, an entire tribe took their self, they went all the way to Egypt. And on going all the way to Egypt because of food, they changed location, which means they moved from a place they are used to a place of the unknown. And then they started giving birth to children, they started getting married, and then they gave birth to a lot of children that became a mighty nation. And then they now rose up a king, like a prime minister in Egypt, that does not know all the exploit that Joseph has done. And see what the man now said. He now called a group of people together. Remember, the masses were not in that conversation. The multitude and million were not in that conversation, yet they were deciding their destiny in their absence. So they sat down and said, these people, they are men. Hey, are we sure we are not going to be in trouble? If an enemy come to encamp our land, will they not begin to liaise with them and they will fight against us? And see what they did. They said, let's turn them into slaves that they will begin to make buildings for us. Which means the development of Egypt were made and they were carried out operationally by the people who came to stay in their lands. Who came to stay in their lands. And these people, they didn't have to seek their permission. Now, listen to me. Everything you are seeing going on in the world right now, everything you are seeing going on in the nation right now, they were actually planned. They were actually planned and strategized by people. And until you can picture on an eye level, you will end up becoming a victim of what was planned. Now, I'm going to paint a quick picture. If you were told not to be on any social media for the next 5 months, are you sure you will not assume that you want to look like somebody that want to die? Just say, I will not be on Facebook, I will not be on Instagram, I will not be on Twitter, I will not be on TikTok, I will not be on Thread, I will not be on anything for the next 5 months. Some people, just after one day, to look as if they want to die. And listen to me, somebody sat down and planned that social media that became part of your life. Now, the problem is, what exactly are you creating that will decide the destiny of others? It's about what you see. My brother, my sister, it's about what you see. Somebody planned to sell shoe to a particular people in the ghetto in India without asking for their permission. Without asking for their permission. If you sit down today and say, oh, I don't want to be on Twitter. Oh, okay, maybe let's leave Twitter. I don't want to be on Instagram. I want to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. I want to be on WhatsApp. Do you know that you are paying the same person? Oh my God, you are paying the same person. Whether you run to Facebook or you run to Instagram or you run to WhatsApp, the same person is deciding what you do there. So the question is, what exactly do you say? Every barrier does not start on the external. Every barrier starts from within. Every barrier does not start from the external. Every barrier starts from within. And I love the saying of this amazing man, all right, the author who wrote The Man Who Sold His Ferrari. He said that everything you see is created at least twice. It's first created within and then is implemented without. Is first created within and then is implemented without. The same way, every barrier is built twice. It's first built within and then it's built without. Every barrier is built twice. It's first built within and then is built without. Now, what are barriers? Barriers are seeming obstacles that makes it difficult. Listen, barriers are not things that makes things impossible. They are only things that make things difficult. You know, when people begin to say, oh, barrier, I'm facing this barrier, I'm facing this barrier, all they are saying is they are passing through a difficulty, not necessarily an impossibility. The fact that something is difficult does not mean it's impossible. Some of you right now, you are interpreting your difficulty into impossibility, but they are necessarily not the same. The fact that you're trying to push and attain something great in your career, or you're trying to scale your business, or you're trying to advance something necessarily in your life, and then you are not receiving an instant breakthrough, does not mean it's impossible. It's only difficult. Think about the things in your life that you're saying, oh, I wish I could have this. I want to attain this place. I want to reach this place. I want to become this. I want to grow to this point. And then you are thinking in your head that I've not gotten it. I've not reached there. I've not done that. It's only difficult. It's not impossible. In 2013, as a final year student in the university studying computer science, I met my supervisor. Thank God to him now. By the grace of God, he's an associate professor. That man influenced my life in no small way. You know the way we would go to our supervisor. Sir, we want to collect our topics, especially those of you who are in school, you have graduated. You go to your supervisor, sir, our topic, and our topic. And you know, the man was new then. We were the first set of his supervisee that year in that campus. And then we got to him, and this man gave me a project topic. CEO, listen to my project topic, undergraduate student. He said, development of a facial and license plate recognition system as an undergraduate student. You will just put your hand on your head and say, Ewo. So it means he wanted me to design a system that as a car is entering into the university, there will be a camera that will capture the license plate and go and store it in a database, and capture the face of the driver and store it in database. And when the driver is coming out again, it will capture again to ensure that the driver that came in with the car is the same driver that is going out with the car. Or more BSc project. You will put your hand on your side and say, "What is the apple?" I say, "Ah, sir, this, the way you will talk, and you believe that you have point." Listen to what the man told me. My supervisor told me, he said, "It does not believe anything is impossible except what has not been done." You open your mouth and say, "Eh?" He said, "Nothing is impossible except it has not been done." And then this man pushed us to do that work. Listen to me. Eventually, I did that project and I have an A. I did that project and I had an A in that project. It's just to tell you that barriers are not impossibilities, they are only difficulties. They are only difficulties, they are not impossibilities. And these are things that makes it difficult for you to reach a destination. There are no obstacles except there is a destination. Some people don't have destination. They are saying, "I'm facing an obstacle. There's no money." Okay, they say, "Bros, how come? Why is your business struggling?" They say, "Because there's no money." Okay, where do you want your business to get to? I'm thinking about it. Hello, sir. You don't have obstacle. You only lack clarity. You don't have obstacle. You only lack clarity. There is always a destination that an obstacle comes before it. And also, you should understand that barriers, they are sometimes intangible and sometimes they are unreal. Some people believe barriers are, "Oh, there is now this wall." The wall, when people are saying the wall of Jericho fell down, they are believing that it must be like a wall of Jericho. No, sometimes the barriers are intangible and sometimes they are unreal. And they are obstructions that limit your movement. They are just obstructions that makes moving forward, attaining the next level difficult. Now, listen. What do you do to barriers? Number one, you must know the barrier. Number one, you must know the barrier. Oh my God! Let me just ask in the audience. Let me ask in the audience. Let me ask in the audience. I don't know anyone. If it's possible for you to speak and for me to hear. I need someone to just volunteer. Tell me what career path you are in, and tell me what are likely barriers that will hinder you from going to the next level. So tell me what career path you are in, tell me what your next level is, and tell me what barriers that may limit you from making that leap. All right, anyone, just anyone. Any volunteer. Just tell us what career path you are in. Tell us what a likely barrier is for you. Don't worry, I love the smile. And maybe I'm going to say, I want a lady to speak, apart from the moderator.
Okay.
Yeah, go on, go on.
I'm into. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can clearly.
Okay, I'm into web development, a front-end web developer, and I feel like the possible barrier that I presently have now is people around me, basically. Like for the kind of projects I have in mind, I feel like I don't have enough people or enough finance to carry out that kind of project.
All right, interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, let's take a young man now. So any young man, that's interesting. And I would mention, I would talk about it. Okay. The young man in the house.
Yes.
All right, so
Yes.
I'm going to pick my brother that wore something that looks like blue. The one sitting near Dave. So just talk, just say something.
My name is Dave. My barriers like
Body.
okay, my career. I can say I'm still a student, but in the market. My barriers are I'm still learning for now, but my barriers mainly that I don't have self confidence. Self confidence. I don't have self confidence. Also, I'm not approachable. I'm not approachable. I don't like speaking to people everywhere. I'm very secretive. Uh,
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Now, you know what that exercise have not as what that exercise has done for you is that it does not make the barrier appear like it's something vague. The moment your barrier becomes vague, you are going to be kept in a prison of ignorance. Okay, there's something called a prison of ignorance. Now, you are going to operate in a world that is unreal. So, something you must always understand is that you must know what the barrier is. What you have to do in barrier number one, you must know what the barrier is. Right now, my sister will say, oh, the people in the front end development space, or maybe some people are beginning to challenge you. Now you understand what your barrier is. The person say, oh, lack of finance and all of that. You know what your barrier is. Now, does it mean, I want everyone to say in unison, does it mean that achieving that career prospect is impossible? If you say it's impossible, raise up one finger. If you say it's difficult, raise up two fingers. The barriers, does it mean it's impossible or does it mean it's difficult? If it is impossible, raise up one finger. If it's difficult, raise up two fingers. I want us to be together. Now, exactly. So now, by knowing the barrier, it gives you a feeling that it's only difficult, but it does not mean it's unachievable. Now, number two thing you can do to barrier is that you can decide to avoid barriers. You can decide to avoid barriers. Okay? In fact, let me tell you the truth. There are some barriers you need to avoid. There are some barriers you need to avoid. I want Mr. Emmanuel to make a comment to this. Mr. Emmanuel, I want you to make a comment to this. People usually give a motivational talk. Listen, and I'm going to challenge you people. They'll say, don't give up. Try again. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Move on, my brother. You have failed 1,000,000 times. Don't give up. Rise up and give up and do it. God can change your life. Nothing's impossible. You can rise from it and do it. Mr. Emmanuel, please, I just want to hear your view on this. Are there actually things that we can give up on? Are there some things we have to give up on?
Yes, in life, basically, we must be intentional about things. So there are things we're giving them or not assume that they're possible. Then there are some that we won't let go, whatever it is, because we have a destination. So I have seen that in the line of like sport things. There are things, there are behaviors, there are attitude they have to let go just to keep fit and shape. And so if I believe in the line of business too, there are certain lifestyles too we give up. But unlike barrier, we don't avoid it. We face it and prepare off for it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
I
you, sir.
agree with you. So some people, one thing, you have to know what the barriers are. You have to know what the barriers are. Number two, there are people who give up, who kind of say, oh, they want to avoid this barrier. Oh, they just want to just be there. Now, number two, three thing you can do to barrier is that you can navigate through barriers. You can navigate through barriers. There are some points you get to in business that you necessarily don't need to say you want to break it. All you have to do is to navigate through them. I think there was a part in the Bible where the Bible says you would leap over a wall. That wall is a barrier. Sometimes you need to build strength to fly above them. You necessarily don't need to break them. Why? Because a lot of people need to learn through those barriers, and if you have broken them, there will be no lesson for them to learn. So for barriers, you know them, you can avoid them, you can navigate them, and then number four, you can break barriers. You can break barriers. You can break barriers. There was this story from the Bible where the children of Israel, they needed to move on their journey to Canaan, and then they got to a place called Jericho. And there was this wall. Because of children of Israel, they shut the gates, so they could not pass through the gates. The people who were children, who were the people who were living in Jericho, they could not come out, and the children of Israel could not move. All they needed to do, the only solution was to break that barrier. There are some barriers you necessarily have to break. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what are the types of barriers? What are the types of barriers? I'll make comments on them. I guess I have. I don't know how much time I still have, but I hope we can run through. What are the types of barriers? Number one, we have mental barriers. Number two, we have industry barriers. Number three, we have social barriers. Number four, we have economic barriers. Number five, there are environmental barriers. And number six, there are political barriers. Okay. We may have other barriers, but when you look at them critically, they would only be subset to these six. Now, mental barriers. Mental barriers are just imaginations you created in your mind that are not real. They are just imaginations, imaginative barriers you created that are not real. For example, there are people who believe that they cannot be wealthy except they travel out of the country. Okay, I'm not saying there are people who their prospect and their destiny path require that they travel out of the country to make it and return back to invest their wealth. People have mental barriers like, oh, a woman cannot be, maybe things like they'll say, oh, a woman cannot be this. Like, how will a woman be my boss? How will a woman be a co-founder? How can I co-found a business with a woman? They just created a sort of mental barriers within themselves. Now, you need to check within yourself. What are the things you have learned through experience? What are the things you have learned through exposure? What are the things you have learned through experiences? Okay, that you have kept on to that is hindering you from moving to the next level. What are the things you have learned through experience, through exposure, and through expressions that have limited you from moving forward? There are lots of people that because of what they've been through, so I came out from a family where my daddy is always bossy, or I came out from a family where my mommy did not used to work. Oh, it's my daddy that used to spoil my mommy. And then you will now see some ladies, they'll be saying, I want a man that will spoil me, the one that will buy me bone straight, the one that will buy me this one. The man must have G-Wagon before I marry him. And then you are waiting to sit at home to be spoiled by a man. I'm sorry, man. The world has changed to a point where women need to become contributors to what is going on around. So a lot of people are limited by their experience, by their exposure, and also by their expressions. By the things. So this person said, especially some of the people you try to follow online, you follow some people online and they say certain things and you just take it hook, line, and sinker, and you don't begin to think, does this thing actually, does it apply to me? Me and this person, did we pass through the same thing? They'll say, no. All right, so mental barriers. Number two, we have industry barriers. Listen, there are people in the industry you're operating who have become key players, who have become big players. And then when they cough, the industry will shake. And these people, they have the power to place certain barriers to what you can earn in business or to the height you can attain in career. I will share later on, not here, I will share later on how you can break them. Okay, so there are industry barriers. For example, there are certain products that when you want to try to import them into Nigeria, for example, you want to import them into Nigeria, you need to get a recommendation from those big players before you can import them. So there are some sort of industry barriers, and you must understand how to navigate through such barriers. Number three, there are social barriers. There are social barriers. If in 2018, they took some of us from Ogun State. Then I was still residing in Abeokuta. They took some of us from Abeokuta to travel to Abuja to go for a training, to go for a sort of training by the German Development Corporation. They wanted to train us to become business trainers and coaches for startups. And then I just realized, listen, there was this foreigner who was training us. Like when you greet them too much, listen, when you greet them too much, they suspect you. Like when you greet them too much, you know the way in Nigeria you'll be bending your head and be doing like this. If you greet them too much, they will suspect you as if you're a kidnapper. And that can be a social barrier. If in your mind you have always believed that if I only have to always greet people by kneeling down, there are people that if you kneel down for, they will suspect you and they may not open up certain opportunities to you. So you need to understand cultural and social barriers. You need to understand cultural and social barriers. There are places you enter into that you need to drop your title. There are some places that if I get to, I don't have to be saying I'm Dr. This. So, sorry, please, hold on. All right, so like I was saying, I said there are places you get to that you need to drop certain titles. So there could be some sort of social barrier. Also, there are places where you need to drop your being, oh, I'm introverted. I don't talk. I don't talk. I've noticed that most of the time, the least outspoken person are usually seen as average and mediocre sometimes. There are some places you have to get to and you need to speak up. You need to ask questions. You need to introduce yourself. Like my brother just said, oh, I don't like talking to people. Hello, sir. You have to build it. You understand it's a barrier. You have to understand how to leverage on your personality to engage and network with people. I used to tell people don't believe it. I was very, very introverted. Even up to my university days, I used to be introverted. But the day I knew that this being introverted, I don't want to talk to people, I don't want to do this to people, will put me in trouble. It will be the day they will do something in school. And then I don't have anybody to talk to me. I don't have anybody to tell me. I don't have anybody to do this. So we have social barriers. Number four, we have economic barriers. So economic barriers like the policies that a government may put in place that may hinder your business. There are certain policies the government may say, oh, if you are running this kind of business, you have to have this. In some ways, these are barriers you need to take away. Number five, there are environmental barriers. Listen, your idea is not enough. Oh, I have a fantastic idea. I have this idea that will change the world. I have this idea that will do a lot of things. I have this idea that will do this. You need to ask the question, is this idea meant for this location? There are some ideas some of you have that idea is not meant for Nigeria. There are some ideas that you have that those ideas are not even meant for Africa. Some of you need to cross borders to be able to really earn and receive breakthrough from your ideas. All right. There are certain professions that you need to look into, and you need to start saying, where is this idea meant for? So especially some people who are in the creatives. Oh, I'm into spoken word, so I'm into that, I'm into this, I'm into this. You need to find the environment that will give your skill certain expression. And then finally, number 6, we have political barriers. There are political barriers that exist. Now, listen to this. Number one thing you have to do when you want to start breaking your barrier is to first do something called a self-realization. You need to start with knowing who you are. You need to start by knowing who you are. You need to start saying who exactly I am. Who am I exactly? What are the things that my ability can take? What are the things that my skill can take? What are the kinds of things that I should begin to look into? All right. What are my strengths necessarily? You do a sort of SWOT analysis. You begin to ask, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities available to me? What are the things that would threaten my becoming great? What are the things that would threaten my moving to the next level? It starts from within. You need to do a self-realization. You need to do a self-evaluation. Right now, you need to ask yourself, oh, this barrier before me, should I just avoid it? Oh, should I scale through it? Should I build connections that I will begin to ride on, and then they will make me cross over that barrier? I remember when we were doing my NYSC, when we were in camp, they used to, there is this particular exercise, they call it man-o-war drill that we used to do. If you have gone for NYSC, you remember. They would begin to teach you how you can leverage on people. Like you will climb on people's back and cross over a barrier to the next stage. I don't know how many of you did it during service here. We have served before. You did it. Those things are actually teaching you something. That irrespective of the barrier, the moment you have certain strength and opportunities, you have what it takes to cross over those barriers. So you need to find out, what are my strengths? Maybe, for example, oh, I can teach. Okay, I have someone who can give me their platform to do this. Okay, I've volunteered somewhere before and I've built this competence. You begin to look for your internal advantages. Your strengths are your internal advantages. They are your intrinsic advantages. They are the things within you that give you power. They are the things within you that give you a force. Weaknesses are internal disadvantages. What are the things within you that you feel like, oh, you naturally don't have? Maybe you have to train for them. Maybe you have to leverage on other people to build them. Maybe you need to get maybe a partner that would help you leverage on that weakness. Opportunities are external advantages. Oh, the people you know, the things available to you. You did not build them. They are not inside of you, but they are advantages that would help you advance your career and do a lot of great things. Threats are external disadvantages. External disadvantages for businesses. Maybe you are running a business where you have to do a lot of importation. And while you are importing in, oh, the dollar rose or something and all of that, those things are threats. You need to analyze them. You need to do something called a scenario planning and say, oh, if this threat exists, how do I overcome it? If this option exists, how do I overcome it? If this thing comes to play, how do I overcome it? So you need to do something called a scenario analysis. And then you need to break your mental barriers. You need to start by breaking your mental barriers. Break those mental barriers within you. There are some belief system that necessarily has to go. Some belief system just has to go. They limit you over and over again. Now, let me start this way. If you are a young person in Nigeria, let me use Africa, young person in Africa, and you find out that in your growing up and in the conversations you have in your family, you always castigate wealthy and rich people. You need to start dealing with it. Do you know there are people that believe that it's a sin to be rich as a young person? The moment they see a young lady drive a big car, the next thing the person is thinking about is there is one baba that is funding a lifestyle. Or when you see a young guy who is using a MacBook laptop, an iPhone, and the guy is driving a Lexus, that guy must be a Yahoo boy. If automatically in your head, you always think that way, you need to start breaking that mental barrier. Because the reason why a lot of people in Africa, they rise very late is because they have a mental belief system that you need to grow old before you become wealthy. Is that you need to grow old before you make it. I've seen people before that will say, you have a PhD at your age. That's early. You got a PhD young. And in my mind, I'm saying, wait, abroad, people that I'm older than, 5 years older than, they already have PhD. How come there are people in this Nigeria that believe that I got a PhD too early? I have a supervisor who is a professor that at a time when somebody had that, she's a professor, the person was like, she's too young to have a PhD, she's too young to be a professor. Can you imagine? A lot of mental barriers. And these are things that limit a number of people. The obstacles you face are mental barriers which can be broken by adopting a more positive approach. All you have to do to begin to break your mental barrier is that you need to become positive. You need to embrace positivity all the time. Even when people try to bring, negative stuff, negative vibes, you need to run away from them and begin to build a lot of positive approach within yourself. Now, what's the next step? Knowledge. You need to build knowledge base. You need to build knowledge base. I heard when Mr. Emmanuel was talking about reading, you need to build knowledge base, because I know a lot of you have heard knowledge is power. How many of you have heard that word before? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And listen, you cannot break barriers in empty stomach. You cannot break barriers with empty stomach. You need to feed. You need to eat. You need to start learning. You need to feed yourself with knowledge. And then as you begin to build knowledge, you begin to build power. And as you begin to build power, you have what it takes to begin to break those barriers. So knowledge is power. On a daily basis, you make sure that you're reading something. You're reading something. You're trying to figure things out. Maybe you're somebody that you have issues with networking, issues with communication, issues with speaking. You begin to read books that advance you on that level. Or maybe at a point you're somebody who have issues with managing finances. You read about finances, you start building competence about it, you start increasing your value over it, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Now, the last thing on that is that you need to look out for opportunities. You need to look out for opportunities. You need to be on the lookout for opportunities. Listen, this is a time where you need to start living a life of options. All right. I did three times series on my YouTube channel where I said life of options. In today's world, you cannot live by a single option and make it. Why? Because when you get to a certain barrier, you may need another open door to be able to get a breakthrough in life. So you need to be on the lookout for opportunities. Now, what do you have to do to increase your opportunity? Number one, you need character. To increase your opportunities, you need character. No matter how difficult things may be, no matter how you may seem like you are not encouraged, make sure you don't lose character. You need to be a person of character. Why? Let me tell you something. I once heard this story from Fela Durotoye. You know, Fela Durotoye's father was an educator. I think he was a lecturer. And when Fela Durotoye started his consulting company, and he went out and he met somebody who introduced himself as and say, "Oh, my name is Fela Durotoye." The person carried him, embraced him, and said, "Oh, Fela, are you?" So he was asking, "Is it the Durotoye? Was your father a lecturer? Was your father the one that taught in this place?" And he said, "Yes." "Oh, your father taught me. Your father was a lecturer." And because of how Fela Durotoye's dad treated that person, Fela Durotoye got a contract of a lot of money that settled a lot of things in life. Why? Because that man was a man of character. Listen, there are a lot of things that you think you don't have because you don't seem to have the character that can attract them. If you want to increase your opportunity, number one, you need to be a person of character. Number two, you need to build connections. You need to build connections, and you need to build connections with people that matter. You need to build connection with people that matter. You need to build connection with people who have gone ahead of you, like people who are there, like those you know have what you want to be like. You need to build connections. For example, you are in this gathering. I'm speaking to those who are on site now. You are in this gathering. Are you going to leave without having the contact of 3 more persons in this gathering? Are you going to leave and then you have not added another value to somebody who met you recently? So one thing you have to do is you need to build connections, because when you meet a barrier at this point, you may need someone's open door to be able to navigate through. So you need connections. Connections with people that matter, connections with people that can change your life, connections with people that can lift you, connections with people that can transform your life. You need connections. Number 2, you need competence. Number 3, you need competence. You need competence. Like, for example, can Mr. Emmanuel give you a project to handle, and then you will handle it more than the amount that you are paid? Never do a project if you will not give far more than what you were paid. You need competence. Why? Because you need certain recommendations. You need people to recommend you and say, I know somebody that can do it. Oh, that guy, when you give it to him, he will handle it perfectly. He will do it so well. He will do this. He will give it his best. Let me ask you right now, for some of you that have worked before, and the places you have worked in, if they are to genuinely write a recommendation about you, what would they write about you? Would they write that you are competent? Some of you who are students, if your supervisor or your lecturer is to write about you, will they say something about you being competent? You see why people begin to lose opportunities? Because they do not envisage into the future. So number 1, you need character. Number 2, you need connection. Number 3, you need competence. Number 4, you need creativity. You need creativity. You are doing a business. Can you create another stream of income from that line of business? You are selling hair. Can you open an online tutorial to teach people how to make hair? That's being creative. You are selling shoes. Can you teach people on how to combine colors of their clothes with their shoe so that they will get people looking back every time they pass? You need creativity to be able to navigate through. You say, oh, I'm doing this product, I'm selling this product, oh, I'm offering this service. Can you get to a point where you can offer that same thing to somebody in another continent, and then they are willing to pay you any amount? Number 5, conferences. To increase the opportunities, you need to attend conferences. You need to attend workshops like this. You need to attend places like this, all right, where conversations that will blow your mind, where conversations that will change your life, where they are being mentioned. I've attended some conferences. You know, people used to believe, you permit me, there are a lot of people, most especially people of faith. They'll say, God, you must change my life. And they will pray and pray and pray and fast. God, change my life. God. And they will speak in tongues for hours. And yet they are expecting that God will just come and appear and say, receive my son. And yet, I will tell you the ideas I have gotten by attending conferences. I just needed to attend. I just attended the conference, and then by the conversations, ideas will just be flowing. Ideas will just be flowing. Ideas will just be flowing. Sir, ma, I got the idea for Purpose Hangout by attending a mentorship session. By attending a mentorship session. I didn't get it. I got the idea to implement it. And listen to me, between 2018 and 2020, we had 10 editions of Purpose Hangout. And the implementation strategy was gotten in a meeting, in a conversation like this. You need conferences to increase the opportunities. You need conferences to be able to network and interact with people. Number 6, you need to have a culture. You need to have a culture. And culture means you need to have a routine in your life. You need to have a routine in your life. There are people, they just wake up. We have woken up today. Oh yeah, let's move. They just wake up. Oh, today we thank God, oh, things don't happen, oh, and then they just move. No, you need to have a culture of diligence, a culture of excellence, a culture of respect and humility. You have a routine that you go over your life again and again and again and again. Do you have a routine in your life? Let me ask you, what's your daily routine? What's your daily ritual? When you wake up every day, what do you do? What are the 5 things that on a daily basis you must do? Do you just wake up and say, today don't come again, oh, Baba God, thank you, and then you just go out? Baba God, oh, we don't rain, oh, thank God, and then you just move on. Do you have a routine? For example, when I wake up in the morning, I understand that the first thing is that I must talk to God. I must talk to my God. The second thing is that there is a scripture that I must read for the day. I know that every day I need to read before I sleep. I know that every day I must be a blessing to somebody before I sleep. Do you have a culture in your life? Do you have a culture? You have a business. What's your business culture? You are in a career. What's your career culture? All right. And then finally, number 7, how do you increase your opportunity? You need courage. You need courage. You need courage. Listen, the possibility at the ends of your fear, you would never see them except you run to them courageously. And I used to hold on to this word, that your fear fears you, but you will not know except you run towards them. Your fear fears you. The things you are scared of, they are scared of you, but you will not be aware except you run towards them courageously. This is something very, very important. And as I keep saying, you need to understand that your barriers are simply difficulties, they are not impossibility. I need you to rise from here and begin to break barriers in no small way. Thank you very much for having me. I'm so grateful. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that powerful section. That was profound. That was beautiful, sir. And I know, and I'm very sure that
With the people on site, we are going to start breaking barriers.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much
for
for
that
that
beautiful
beautiful
and
and
wonderful
wonderful
section,
section,
sir.
sir.
So
So
before
before
you
you
go,
go,
sir,
sir,
we
we
are
are
going
going
into
into
the
the
section
section
of
of
interactive
interactive
section.
section.
That's
That's
basically
basically
on
on
what
what
you
you
taught
taught
us,
us,
sir.
sir.
So
So
I'm
I'm
going to
going
be
to be
asking
asking
if
if
you
we
have
have
any
any
question
question
as
as
regards
regards
what
what
our
our
keynote
keynote
speaker
speaker
said.
said.
So anybody with question will ask, and our speaker is going to answer the question. Who asks questions? What do we understand? What do we not understand as regard what our keynote speaker said? All right, sir. Please, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, sir. So we have a couple of questions here, sir. I'd like you to help us in answering them. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Abiodun, for this powerful session. It's been really insightful in understanding the integrities of barriers, how to face them, and also how to break barriers and creating opportunities for ourselves. My question is this: you did mention that for us to what to do with barriers, we need to first know what the barriers are and then try to avoid them. So the situation where you know the barriers, right? You are making conscious efforts towards breaking the barriers, towards avoiding it. But then you see, maybe you keep making progress. At some point, you encounter challenges, or maybe you see that you are not, you encounter a difficulty, and then you see that it takes you like 2 steps backward, then you try to adjust, try to avoid it again. Then you see, yeah, it's just back and forth, back and forth. At that point, what do you do? What advice or what suggestions do you have for that? And also, you mentioned creating opportunities for ourselves. You mentioned having routine. So in the case of someone working in Lagos, for example, it gets unpredictable at times. Your work schedule gets unpredictable. The time you spend journeying from work home gets unpredictable. At times you get home 11, at times you get home 8, at times you are very tired. In that area, how do you balance the routine? Also considering spiritual life, also considering relationships, and also considering careers. How do you then balance and create routines for ourselves?
All right, interesting. Should I just take it?
Sorry,
Or
sir. Should we ask the questions together, or should you would answer them personally, sir?
um okay, let me take this. Then maybe others we could collectively have them. All right,
Right.
thank you so much for those questions. Now let me say, you're making a lot of efforts. You're trying to break your barriers, and it seems that you don't seem to be making headway. Now, I will tell you, there are three things that are responsible. Three things that are responsible if you find out that you're personally putting effort and things are not changing. Three things you need to improve upon. Number one, your God factor. Number two, your people factor. Number three, your knowledge factor. Number one is either with the fact that you need an enforcement and the help of God to break certain ones. Listen, whether we like it or not, you need a force greater than you to break some barriers. There are some barriers you need to intensify your God factor, like you need to call on God to help you spiritually to break them. All right. Number two, there are some that you need people. Okay. Now, listen, if you are trying to push, what do I want to use? Let me say you are pushing a car, you alone, you are pushing a car, and then the car does not seem to be moving. When someone else's joins you to push it, there's a possibility that it may move. If it's not still moving, another person joins. By the time 3, 4 persons begins to push that car, eventually you'll find out that that can move. So you either need to improve your God factor in terms of your spirituality with God, all right, engaging some spiritual engagements like prayer, fasting. Sometimes you even need to create forces of people who need to pray with you to be able to break some. Um, I guess Mr. Mano that have been in business will testify to this. There are some things that you need to engage some spiritual activities to be able to break through some places. There are times that you will bid for a project, you will bid for a contract, and it will not come early. You will have to pray. Why? Because the forces involved in getting those things, they are not ordinary. So you need to increase your God factor. Number two, you need to improve your people factor. There are times that you need to talk to certain people, engage certain people, leverage on the connection of certain people to be able to break through them. And then thirdly, it may likely mean that your level of knowledge has not made you that powerful to be able to break them. So three things: improve your God factor, your spirituality, your people factor, and your knowledge factor. Now, the second question that has to do with routine. Let me tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you this for a frank truth. And I've always believed something for a long time, and I've found this to be true. You are as valuable as the level that you have invested in developing yourself in the past. The moment the organization you are working with right now find out that you are not as valuable as where they are going, they will drop you. And that's why you must understand that developing yourself is your greatest asset. I'll say it again. You must understand that developing yourself is your greatest asset. Every organization is, most organization, let me use most organization, because probably Mr. Emmanuel's organization will not be like this was how to mention. Most organizations are selfish. They only retain you to the level of value you are providing. And that is why you must always make conscious effort to keep developing yourself so that irrespective of where they want to grow into, you will still be desirable. So if you say, I don't have time to develop myself, I don't have time to build routine to develop myself, I don't have time to grow, I don't have time to do this, there will be a time the organization will want to lay people off. And it's the people who are less valuable that they are going to lay off. And this is why you cannot do without developing and improving yourself on a consistent basis. I will tell you my own personal experience. While I was living in Abeokuta, I got a job as a lecturer in McPherson University. McPherson University is in Seriki Shotayo. It's close to Ibadan, which means I leave my house on Monday, I return to my house on Fridays. That's what my schedule is. Now, what do I have to do? I have Saturday, I have Sunday. Sometimes I might be very tired. I may be like very weary, but I make sure that within the month, most of the time, within the month, I have dedicated time for retreats. I have dedicated time for retreat. Let me tell you the truth. The reason why, by the grace of God, I've been this valuable over time, Mr. Emmanuel have been this valuable over time, most of the people you respect have been this valuable over time, is because they respect their alone moments and they build productivity and profitability out of their alone moments. And when you don't find time to develop yourself, people will no longer seek you anymore. Why? Because you have become outdated. So when you don't create time to update yourself, you will be outdated and people will not see you as something significant. So no matter how busy you are at that time, maybe it's the fact that, oh, you get home very late. I work in Lagos also, even though my house is not, maybe is not far distant, kind of, all right? But I understand what Lagos life can be like. Now, what do you have to do? You might turn your journey moments to development times. So the moment while maybe you're driving or you are in the vehicle, you plug in your earpiece, you're trying to listen to things that challenge you, you are trying to listen to spiritual songs that challenge your spirit, or you are listening to a message that encourages you, those times are also development moments. Instead of listening to, oh, go slow, this driver, what did he do you? Or the conductor is saying, oh, God, say, you thought all your earpiece. You are not listening to the negative things going around. You are developing yourself internally. I hope I answered your question well.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir, for answering the question. Personally, I have a question before Mr. Emmanuel asks his question. I was talking about barriers that time, and I was like, the kind of project I have in mind, I've not been able to carry it out because of the set of people around me, and also finance. Basically, the kind of project as regards front end, not only front end, I mean web development in whole. My course, I studied educational media and technology. That's basically like using technology to solve educational problem in the media sphere. So I have kind of ideas that says that I would like to put out there using applications that can help educational system, that can ease the teacher's job and also help the student learn very well, like a learning experience. So this kind of app, it will not require only front end, it will require front end, full stack, back end, and all of those web developers called together. I have some of them, but also we don't have enough facilities to carry out that kind of projects. We don't have enough finance to carry out that kind of project. What are the practical things we can do to carry out that kind of project? At least when you said we should be creative, we should also create job opportunities for ourselves. How do we go? But like, what's the, not theory this time, what's the practical way we can go about that? What do you think we need to put in place to make that plan a success?
All right, interesting. Thank you so much. I think these are very great questions. And I must commend Mr. Manuel, Victor, and all the people who have gathered these brilliant minds together. Now, listen, I'll tell you practically the truth. If this project you're working on is something that is going to make money, all right, you have a very strong vision, you know where you're going, and you know this is something that is going to make money. If you don't have the skill, get one or two guys that have the skill and sell an equity to them. Now, I explain what an equity means. An equity means the guy has the skill. You don't have the money to pay him. and you are telling the guy that when this thing start making money, you would get 100, maybe this percentage of the money that comes out of this thing forever, okay? Or you can put a game on it. Most times, a lot of talented guys, if you cannot give them money, you must be able to give them equity. Lots of the talents we have today, if Mr. Emmanuel have worked with most of them, most of the talented people we have today, if if money is not involved, they are not interested. That's what I'm saying. If you don't have the money, sell an equity to them. So tell them, oh, guy, you are good in this. This is the project you want to build. You call a legal team together, or you call a lawyer, you sign an agreement and tell the guy, I give you 10% equity of this particular project, which means when it starts making money, that guy forever will be getting 10% from it, which means that guy will be working for you forever. That's what it means. So the guy keeps working for you forever, and he gets 10% when that thing starts making money. So people don't live by promises. Talented people will not live by promise. I promise that I will do this. I promise that you get. I've worked with a boss that what he did, most of it, he would promise. At the time, he said he wanted to leave the business for us that are young to run. After a while, when he saw the thing wanted to blow, he came back again. He came back again. So the man was not willing to go equity business. So what you have to do is communicate the vision, sell the vision to them. And I want you to also study how Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. Most of the guys who are making lots of the money from Facebook today were the people who bought equity when they were young. And then they gave all their time to build Facebook. And those guys are billionaires forever. All right. So this is something you have to do. Don't say, but if you think that you don't want to sell equity, you don't have the money, then you need to invest time. So investing time means you now need to learn each of those skills, build it yourself, and then pitch it to investors who would use the project. So that's just my straight up answer to give to you. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. All right, so over to Mr. Emmanuel's question.
Mr. Emmanuel, I hope I'm still.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Doctor. You've been really, really awesome presentation, and there's so much to pick from this point. And the question is this, because the aim of this group, Lions Turn Up, we're trying to solve a problem. So I think the problem is beyond us, but we're trying to see what we can do in this locality. As you mentioned, that problems are solved internally before they manifest. I equally want to believe too that for the kind of background we all have, I mean, the upbringing in the church and the rest of it, I feel that some of the children have been open to over time, make some disadvantage, make some naive, make some unnecessarily reserved. And that was what I understood this kind of regarding that we don't only want to be heavenly conscious and be earthly irrelevant. And that's why we're exactly doing this with me. So I will need you to address the mindset, because with the way you talk to, I know that from that settings too. What should we do with our mindset, especially the young one? Because I know we have a lot of ability, we have a lot of flair, we do a lot of great things. But some will tell me that they're not given the opportunity. I'm not saying, why don't you take the opportunity by yourself and see what you can do? So I will need to help further address the mindset, especially some of us that will come up from this background. So that's my question.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I think it's very important for what you have mentioned. Practically, hold on a sec. I want to do something, and Mr. Emmanuel, I would have said, let me sell this, but I would. So what I would do is, Mr. Emmanuel, because of you, I'm going to give out an e-copy of my book titled Mind Shift, and I'll give it out to the people who are here for free, especially those who took time to leave their houses to come here. All right. So the book
Giving
is
out his e-copy free of
The
charge to
Untold
the people
Secrets and Power of Your Mind.
Mind shifts.
All right. The Untold Secret and Power of Your Mind. Okay, because I think everyone who is here physically, they will gain a lot from that material. All right. So that I'm going to do, and then I will talk to the question. Now,
Okay.
so now let me talk to people who you grew up with a mindset that limited you or sort of made it difficult for you to explore or to be courageous or to take a lot of challenges in your life. One thing you have to do is that it's okay that you have recognized this. Okay, so it's okay that you have recognized this. Part of what you have to do is that be willing to be mentored. I will tell you for a truth, I'm a product of mentorship, and mentorship changed my life so much. Like I changed the people that I started listening to. For example, I didn't grow up with parents who could inspire me to become really great. I only had a mother who was concerned about me, who wanted me to go to school, have a good grade, or have something great out of life, which she tried her very best. And because she did not have a formal education, she did well that many of us had it. So one thing you have to do is please be intentional with mentorship. Be very intentional with mentorship. And this is not mentorship of, and you now came to somebody you want to mentor you, and you are asking for urgent 2K. You say, sir, I don't have data. Please, sir, send data to me. And that's the kind of mentorship you are looking for. And say, sir, I want to travel to this place. I don't have plenty money. Please, sir, can you send me money? And you say, sir, should I send my Aza? On your own, no. I mean mentorship that will challenge and grow your mind. In that book, I wrote about 4 things you have to do with the mind. 4 things you have to do with the mind. You would read them in depthly, but I'll just mention 4 things you have to do with the mind. Number 1, you need to renew your mind. First thing is you need to renew your mind. You need to take your mind away from the family you came from. You need to see the world beyond the place you were born. See the world beyond the place you were born. See the things that can come out of you beyond the location that they gave birth to you. So you need to renew your mind. I remember listening to the story of the late Dr. Miles Moron. Dr. Miles Moron grew up in a very small, I think they call it a wooden house or something. He came out from that house. And he said, I think they had like 7 children or so. And Miles Moron will say, while he was sleeping on that mat, he will be seeing the things he wants to become. He will see the places he wants to travel to. He will be seeing himself achieving a lot of things, speaking to great people. And little by little, he started pushing himself out. Listen, I want you to choose to volunteer. Stop saying they didn't give me opportunity. They didn't do this. Let me tell you, I started out with volunteering. And there are times also that I volunteer pushing myself out to do things. There are times that I don't say, oh, sir, you want me to moderate this program? How much are you going to pay? No, I volunteered myself. By volunteering, you will meet people that will challenge you. Most especially if they give birth to you in some places outside Lagos. If they give birth to you in certain places outside Lagos, when you come to Lagos and you see some young people doing things, you will be challenged. You will be challenged. Some of you will see a young person doing something, you are intimidated. You say, this one safe. Is it because the papa get money? Is it because the something's a politician? You need to renew your mind. Change your conversation. Some of you need to unsubscribe from Netflix for the next 6 months. I'm serious. Some of you have to stop watching movies for the next 6 months. Let me ask you. I know some people will be arguing. Is it that you don't want us to be watching a movie? Can't we entertain ourselves? You have been watching that movie for the past 18 years. What has changed in your life? You have been arguing about listening to those songs for the past 20 years of your life. What has changed in your life? Can you shut down from those things and come to a reality that you really want to change? So volunteering is one thing that can change your life. Push yourself out there. People don't collect money from you to volunteer. You volunteer for free. And by volunteering, they will bring you into an inner circle where they will share certain things about their stories to you, and you will begin to explore your gifts. You begin to explore your gifts. You begin to use your gift. You are the ones that can coordinate and call people in to come and sit down. You begin to explore it. You that you say you are introverted, just decide you want to be a protocol. Mr. Emmanuel, sir, I know you say I'm introverted. Decide to be a protocol. The moment you are telling people, oh, come, how are you? You're welcome. Little by little, you are coming out of that limitation. You are telling people, oh, please walk in. Oh, thank you. God bless you. And you are shaking hands with people. You will be shocked how confident you will become to relate with people. Why? Because you chose to volunteer. So volunteering is one. Number two, mentorship is another thing. Mentorship is another thing. It will change your life. And number three, please go for programs, productive programs. I don't mean programs where they just want to change your life. Imagine this kind of program. See what you are hearing, see the things you are listening to, see the kinds of challenges you're getting. Imagine listening to this back to back for the next 3 months. What do you think will happen to your life? What do you think will happen to your life? Back to back. Mr. Emmanuel, I said through volunteering. I'm going to say this to you, through volunteering. Sorry, I think my network. I met somebody who is connected to the president of Nigeria, connected to the governor of Lagos State, connected to high-profile people. This man invited me to come and meet him on the island. He invited me to come and meet him on the island for a meeting for us to sit down. Why? Because I volunteered. And my pastor who made me to be able to do that was the one who said, this boy is my boy, he's very good, help him and all of this. And that was how my life changed. That was how my life changed. Some of you are sitting down too much. You are too enclosed in your houses. And that's the reason why you are not moving on to the next level. So volunteering, mentorship, connecting with people. So you say you are introverted, be a protocol. Just do protocol in program. Just volunteer. Why are you doing protocol? Don't worry, I'm trying to build. And you are seeing people, you are welcoming them in, you are smiling, you will learn how to smile, you will learn how to greet people, you will learn how to interact with people. Maybe they even attach you to protocol to a speaker. And then you start with that person, sir, are you fine? Sir, are you okay? Sir, are you all right? Sir, what do you want me to get for you? And now be looking at, are there young people this wise and nice in Nigeria? Take my card. And you will build connection from there. Don't just sit down in your house, be praying and fasting and saying, God, things will change. God will use men to bless you. And you will not meet that men in your house. You will meet them when you leave your houses. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answers you've given to us. We really, really do appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. I'm grateful for the invite. Thank you, Victor, for the recommendation. I'm really grateful. Thanks to the team. God bless you, everyone.